Monday. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Great to be with you here on this Monday afternoon. Plenty to cover on today's show, including a preview of Game 3 in the NBA Finals, a pivotal game for the San Antonio Spurs. We'll get to that in just a minute. We'll break it all down with Gilbert McGregor of Phoenix Sports. He's got the very latest, and he'll give us a prediction on what he thinks happens tonight. Pat Evans will join us from Legal Sports Report with the very latest on sports betting and prediction markets. And then Kevin Walsh will get you ready for tonight's in-game live show, which you could catch this evening exclusively here on SportsGrid. But our top story of the day actually begins in college football, a very peculiar one, by the way, because a quarterback who allegedly bet on sports is going to be able to play in college football next year. How about this? Ken Curry, a judge in district court in Lubbock County, Texas, says Brendan Sorsby is eligible for next season, saying that the NCAA can't prevent him from practicing, playing, or otherwise participating on the football team next season. Now, Sorsby will be suspended 2 games, and Texas Tech opens up against Abilene Christian, and then they play Oregon State. But as of right now, the NCAA is biting back, saying that they shouldn't be eligible. You can't bet on sports, and they're committed to student athletes and mental health. But what in the world is going on here? Does it allegedly mean that if you bet on sports, you can still play in college football? Can of worms officially opened up. Sorsby will play this season, one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football. How about that? All right, in the NBA over the weekend, in case you missed it, the Knicks edged the Spurs in San Antonio again to beat them 105-104. So they now have a 2-0 lead in the best of 7 series. And so certainly with the performance from Karl Anthony Towns, 21-13-4, they have this incredible winning streak now, 13 in a row winning playoff games. That's the second longest in the history of the NBA. So now we look toward tonight's game, and the odds makers have spoken. They finally made the Knicks favored in a game in the NBA Finals. Not a lot, though, by the way. Look at that. Knicks minus 2.5, total of 216.5 in this game. And certainly the Knicks are just overwhelming favorites to win the NBA championship, as they should. They're minus 500 right now. So if you think the Spurs can get back in, you can get plus 385. That's a $100 bet to make $385 if the Spurs come back and win this series. Let's hear from some of the participants. We'll start off with Jalen Brunson, who is all ready for the Madison Square Garden madness tonight.
Just what do you think it means for this fan base to have a finals game in this building and for the first time in such a long time?
I think it's really cool. 27 years since the last finals game in this building. I know our fan base is really excited, as they should be. But as a team, us inside the locker room, we have more work to do.
Meanwhile, the Spurs on their side, it's going to be a raucous crowd. Tickets are very expensive. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm sure you know by now. De'Aaron Fox, one of the key players on the Spurs, talked about what he is expecting tonight in the Big Apple.
You're in New York. Even when they travel, you hear New York fans. So, when we came here during the regular season, they hit it. Well, we hit them first. They hit us back in the mouth, and then we just kind of weren't able to get our wheels turning again. But I think we've been pretty good on the road throughout the playoffs, and obviously this team has been really good at home as well. So we got to try to come out and, obviously easier said than done, but try to take the crowd out of it as quickly as possible. I think even like our Game 7, we never really let the crowd get into the game. And like I said, obviously easier said than done, but just try to negate some of their runs. You're gonna come in here. It's gonna be loud. It's gonna, don't want to use the word hostile, but it's gonna be hostile. So you just try to not let the crowd get on their toes too much, because obviously this team plays, and usually it's more so role players and star players that play better at home.
And much more on the game coming up with Gilbert McGregor in just a few minutes. Now let's get to some baseball, where the Tigers are seemingly getting back in the race a little bit here. They beat the Mariners this weekend 3-2, ended up taking the series 2-1. Kevin McGonigal went 2 for 4 with a home run. Wencel Perez also 2 for 3 with 2 runs driven in. They're taking it game by game, and here is manager A.J. Hinch on trying to bring as much energy as possible.
Yeah, we get to celebrate a walk-off in front of our fans against one of the best closers in baseball, a really good team, a team that eliminated us last year. So going into the off day, it obviously feels different. We've played back-to-back series against really good teams. And you can see how small the margin is. It's right there for us. We're trying to not to talk about what we're not doing or what we didn't do. or how May went. We're trying to focus on what we're doing now and bringing this energy. Our fans were great this weekend. Our energy in the dugout was great. We never thought we were out of it. It was a kick in the you-know-what when they kept tacking on runs. But, man, we got the right guy up at the right time. We earned it. We had a ton of opportunities today. The last opportunity was the most important with the right guy, including Maddie's ball in play. That after getting 2 strikes where the runners advanced. So I love this win for this team, and another series win back-to-back feels pretty good.
Couple of weekend sweeps. Let's get to those. The Cardinals take care of the Reds. They win all games this weekend at home in St. Louis. Cincinnati now falls to 2-8 in their last 10, and the Cardinals keep pushing toward the postseason. Brian Torres went 1 for 3 with a home run in the game. On the flip side, the Reds have sort of hit rock bottom, and Terry Francona said he talked to the team after.
And it's actually the same. It's, when it's the hardest to believe, you have to. And when there's doubt, you got to believe in each other and pick each other up. And, I told him, man, run the bases with your pants on fire and don't leave anything on the field. I just believe that's the not just the best way, it's the only way we're going to get where we want to go. And what I don't want them to do is walking around, I don't want this to be a morgue. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I want them just to, because it's hard for us right now. There's a lot of things that aren't going right, but we can make it better, and we will.
Meanwhile, another sweep with the Rangers taking care of the Guardians 10-0 yesterday. Great start for Jacob deGrom. 6 innings pitched, no runs, 6 strikeouts. Also, Josh Young hit a home run. He's off to a great start this season, although probably not a great start anymore. It's more like a great first half. We're almost at the halfway point. Can you believe it? Here's Jacob deGrom on his outing against the Guardians.
Yeah, it was kind of the same approach, just try to hit the ground as many times as I could. Didn't feel like I had my best fastball today, but was able to locate sliders backdoor to those lefties. I mean, you're facing 9 of them, and then, I was able to really hit that spot, and then it just helped with the fast bat for, some soft contact the other way. So was just trying to keep things simple and hit the glove as many times as I could. And, having Diaz for the first time, he did a great job back there. Talked to him a little bit yesterday, and then today before the game was how I wanted to approach this lineup, knowing that everybody's going to be right-handed heavy, and, we were on the same page the whole time.
Meanwhile, the Atlanta Braves just keep on rolling. They beat the Pirates yesterday 3-2 and now have continued their run toward first place in the National League East and get a series sweep over Pittsburgh. Certainly a very happy ending for them. And Bryce Elder, who went 6 innings pitched, got a no decision, but pitched very well. Also, Jazz Chisholm and Cody Bellinger picking up where Aaron Judge left off. With Judge on the injured list, Jazz went 1 for 4 with a home run and also said that he used Aaron Judge's bat to go deep. Check this out.
Jazz, what made you grab Aaron Judge's bat there in the 8th?
I don't know. I was swinging and missing when I thought I was hitting the ball, so I just see if the bat would have changed. That was just it.
And it did?
I mean, yeah. Sometimes you need a little bit more weight and a little bit less on your swing.
Did you ask him? Did you tell him?
Oh, no. Definitely didn't ask him, like a big brother, little brother thing.
All right. I probably want to see if he actually used Judge's bat, knowing Jazz. I don't know. We'll assume he did. All right. Phillies beat the White Sox 9-5. What a season it's been for Brandon Marsh. He homered in his 3rd straight game. What a year he is having. He has been incredible. The Angels, how about that? They finally beat the Dodgers 13-5. And Benj ended up going 5 for 5 for the Mets as they beat the Padres 7-3. Blue Jays beat the Orioles 6-4. They win the series there. And the Brewers, no surprise, sweep the Rockies 12-4. Coming up next, we preview Game 3 of the NBA Finals with Gilbert McGregor. Don't go away.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins. First team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all been the Atlanta Braves. The baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to have Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News to preview, or excuse me, from Phoenix Sports. My bad, Gilbert. I'm just so used to saying Sporting News. Phoenix Sports, covering the Suns, no longer Sporting News. Gilbert is with us, and he's going to preview the games just like he used to do with Sporting News, but he does it now even better. How about that? That sounds good. Spurs and Knicks again tonight, Gilbert. It is great to see you. Great to catch up with you. And I am shocked. I did not see the Knicks winning the first two games of this series. I thought this would be a close series. I'm having a hard time now making a case for the Spurs here. They got to feel, I would say, the last 48 hours a little demoralized, Gilbert. They got to feel that way. They're going to have to use the energy against them in order to win tonight in New York. My gosh, this is it's do or die tonight. Make no mistake about it.
Absolutely, Craig. You know, you think about some of the energy that you talked about, feeling demoralized and probably motivated as well. I think that the Spurs probably feel that they could have had each of the last two games, both game one and game two, especially game two, where they had an opportunity to win at the end of it and made some critical mistakes that led to the Knicks getting the win. So the one thing you talk about is going to be a raucous environment at Madison Square Garden, their first finals game this century. A lot of energy is going to be in that building tonight, but will that energy fuel the Knicks, or will it provide a little bit of pressure for them to perform to a certain level with that crowd there? So can the Spurs respond and learn from what went wrong in games 1 and 2 and be prepared, because they really do have to lock in to get a win in this environment?
All right, so let's get to a couple of the key contributors. Certainly Brunson has come through in the end. His stats don't look great overall, but really the key to the last game for the Knicks was Karl Anthony Towns, who had 21 points on 13 rebounds, but also went 8 of 12 from the field. We know that he is the Knicks' number 2 option, but he's certainly playing above it right now.
He's been playing like a number one. And we talked last week and we looked at the odds for him to win Finals MVP, and they have changed and shifted drastically since we had that conversation. So hopefully people got in on that when they had an opportunity to, and it was of great value. But Karl Anthony Towns has been great. He has gone right at Victor Wembanyama. He's matched up well with Victor Wembanyama. He's made Wembanyama uncomfortable in this series. And when you talk about Wemby being the best player in this series, Karl Anthony Towns has, to the best of his ability, neutralized that threat that the Spurs have. That gave them an advantage coming into this series. So when you think about why the Knicks are up 2-0, it's because of Karl Anthony Towns.
And Wemby, by the way, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, no slouch in this game. But as Gilbert said, made him uncomfortable. 11 for 21 for him from the field. He's not certainly used to that. All right, let's get to some props tonight. I want to show you a few from Jalen Brunson. You tell me if you like anything in particular. Here are the points, 26.5, rebounds 3.5, the assists 5.5, but that's minus 140, Gilbert, keep in mind. 2.5 on the 3 points made, and then 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Generally speaking, Brunson's been flying over a lot of these totals. What do you think happens tonight in San Antonio? Is there anything on that picture that you like?
What stands out the most to me is probably the made three-pointers. I get a little pause with everything else, maybe the rebounds as well. But the points and assists give me pause because of how aggressively they've been guarding him. They've been trapping him. They've been getting the ball out of his hands. So a lot of the assist numbers haven't been there because he's making the first pass. He's getting a lot of hockey assists in these games. And then his efficiency hasn't been there because of how aggressively the Spurs are guarding him. Now, if the Spurs change up their coverages, maybe that could switch up a little bit. But I think that the most opportunity that Jalen Brunson has been getting in this series has been some catch and shoot threes or pull up threes. And they've been running a lot of plays for him to get 3-pointers. So if anything, I would lean towards his 3-pointers tonight. But I might stay away from most of it just because I have no idea if the Spurs are going to guard him the same way.
And as far as Wemby goes, let's get to him in a minute. And you've seen some of his numbers go down a little bit, 26.5 for his points. Again, that's slanted minus 128. Keep in mind there. Rebounds 11.5, assists 2.5, 3-point made 1.5. And then the over-under on his points, rebounds, and assists total 41.5. I mean, look, if the Spurs are going to win, I've said that other contributors will step up. That really has not happened. But I'm guessing tonight has got to be his night, Gilbert. If he does not put up some crazy numbers tonight, that's going to be the end.
I agree with you, Craig, and it sounds kind of bold, but I'm with about everything on this, maybe except the assist in this game. You talk about Wemby's game in game 2. He had 22 points in the second half, so he had a pretty forgettable first half, but it seemed like he might have figured something out. He might have broken through a little bit. So can he build on that momentum? As you said, he's going to need to step up for them to win this game and make this a series because, as we know, nobody has ever come back from 3-0 in the NBA, especially in the NBA Finals. They forced Game 7s before, but when you fall down 3-0, you're basically done. So I think Victor Wembanyama is going to dig deep. He's going to find what he found in the second half of Game 2, and I expect a really big game from him across the board.
If you do like the Spurs, you can get them plus 2.5 games, minus 115, but the risk is tonight, because if you don't hit this one tonight, you're going to lose. That's basically it. They're going to win in 4 or win in 5. All right, let's look at the finals MVP. As Gilbert told us last week, Anthony Towns was the potential sleeper for the MVP, and here he is now at plus 165. So simply put, for this market alone, Gilbert, this is really the game here tonight, too. Like, if the Knicks win and Cat has the game, he's going to win the finals MVP because it's just going to be assumed that the Knicks are going to sweep in game 4 no matter what. It's just what happens in the NBA. So there you go. Plus 165. I guess too late to get in on that train.
Basically too late to get on that train. Exactly. I mean, if you want to get a little bit of value, I think last week it was plus 1,200, which is pretty crazy to think now that we're looking at it at plus 165 at this point. But, you know, if you believe that the series is going to extend a little bit, maybe you wait it out, or maybe you still believe in the Spurs and you go with Victor Wembanyama as far as that goes, because as we said already, if they're going to come back and have a chance in this series, it's going to be because he is the best player on the court in that one. So it's very interesting to see how that goes. I think there's still time for Jalen Brunson to have some moments. If he has a game winner, maybe that shifts things a little bit. But I do think that most people will vote Karl-Anthony Towns right now.
And your pick tonight to win is who?
I'm going with the San Antonio Spurs. I really don't see them falling in a 3-0 series hole. I think this series extends a little bit. Even if at least it's to 5 games, it's not going to end that soon.
All right, fair enough, Gilbert. Thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Craig. Thanks.
All right, Gilbert McGregor covering the finals. Also, check Gilbert out for all of his NBA draft coverage, which I'm sure is already underway. But the draft, folks, is less than 2 weeks away. So make sure you catch Gilbert and all of his information there. It'll help you out. Let's take a quick time out here on NewsWire. We come back next. We'll preview all the baseball games later tonight. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all been the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's talk some baseball here. We've got a light evening slate tonight. Of course, some teams have the day off. That's the way that it works on Monday. But naturally, as the June push begins for the All-Star break, and then, of course, the late season and the postseason, let's take a look at some of the game boards for tonight's games. We'll start off with Seattle after losing their series this weekend, taking on the Baltimore Orioles, who are playing better baseball at this point. Right now, we see that Emerson Hancock will make the start for Seattle. He'll go up against Chris Bassett, but the Orioles generally have used openers when Bassett has started, and then Bassett does get the bulk. Right now, over on FanDuel, Seattle is minus 130, and as you see there, the total is 9 in this game tonight, so that's Seattle taking on Baltimore. Meanwhile, the Yankees, after their win yesterday, still without Aaron Judge and going up against one of the better pitchers in the big leagues. In fact, you very rarely will see the Yankees as an underdog in any game that they play over the course of the season, and that is the case tonight. You can actually get a little bit of plus money on New York because they're facing off with Cy Young Award candidate Gavin Williams. Williams is minus 120 over on FanDuel, and the total is 8 in that game. Naturally, the Yankees are still up against it a little bit offensively, but Cleveland coming off getting swept themselves, so we'll see if they right the ship tonight. The Tampa Bay Rays, I saw them in person. They lost 2 out of 3 here in Miami. They are back at home taking on the Boston Red Sox in their opening series this week. Looks like Ian Seymour will open for Tampa Bay, and Connolly early pitches for Boston. And the odds just keep rolling in on Boston being favored, guys. I have no idea how this happens on a daily basis. The Red Sox just keep losing, and they're still always favored. The Rays right now plus 100, and the total is 7.5 over on FanDuel in that battle in the American League East. Now, perhaps the hottest pitcher in all of baseball does pitch tonight, and you could say that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to have their hands full. That would be an understatement, as Christopher Sanchez, who did not give up a run in the month of May, finally gave up a run last week for the Phillies. He's minus 176 today in Toronto as Patrick Corbin pitches for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are plus 148 on the money line with a total of 7.5. and that game begins tonight at 7:08 Eastern Time. By the way, in case you were wondering where the NL Cy Young Awards stand, there are two pitchers right now that are neck and neck for that Cy Young. Jacob Mizorowski and Christopher Sanchez. Sanchez at plus 125, the Miz at plus 170, and don't look now, but look who's moving up. Shohei Ohtani is plus 550. That's followed by Skeens and Sale. Honestly, it could be anyone that you see on the left side of that board. It is just that close in the NL Cy Young Award this year. By the way, Chase Burns having a great year too. Speaking of great years, maybe one of the best years for anybody in a Houston Astros uniform has got to be their starter tonight. That is Spencer Arrighetti. Yes, Arrighetti having a great season for Houston. On the road late tonight, they will take on the Angels, where Grayson Rodriguez, who came over in the trade with the Orioles last season, makes another start. It has not gone well for him, and that's why the Astros are light favorites tonight with a total of 9 in that game. The Reds were swept over the weekend, so they're trying to right the ship a little bit, but the Padres haven't been playing all that well themselves. San Diego, a light favorite tonight, minus 134. It is Walker Buehler against Andrew Abbott with a total of 7.5 in this game. So keep an eye on this one to see if the Reds can break that losing streak that they have. The Nationals will take on the Giants, two teams clearly heading in different directions. The Giants have had a tough season, having a hard time scoring runs. They have their best pitcher on the mound tonight. That is Logan Webb. Miles Michaelis has been giving up a ton of home runs this season. He's plus 130. Washington, the better team, but they are on the road where it's a little tougher in San Francisco, so we'll keep an eye on that game as well. One of the better pitchers also in the American League is on the bump tonight. One of the favorites to win the AL Cy Young, Kyle Harrison, pitches against Jeffrey Springs. This game is in Las Vegas, and the A's will also host their next series in Vegas against the Rockies to sort of get ahead and get ready for their upcoming move to Vegas in 2 years. And by the way, that is not a typo. The total in this game is 11. This is a hitter's paradise tonight. Could be 10.5 depending on where you see it, but it will be the highest total on the board because Vegas is at altitude where they play those games, even more so than at Sacramento. And that is a look at just some of the games going on tonight in Major League Baseball. By the way, you can always download the SportsGrid app for the latest odds on baseball, basketball, hockey, WNBA, or anything that you're considering betting on. And you can also track all of your bets via the SportsGrid app. Just download it to your phone. It's absolutely free. Coming up next, Pat Evans will join us from Legal Sports Report. We'll go over the latest in Illinois and prediction markets and everything else in the sports betting universe. We'll be right back.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Pat Evans is with us from Legal Sports Report as we get this Monday kicked off, discussing prediction markets and legislation, always fun topics. And Pat is here with us on this Monday. Pat, thanks for coming on. All right, let's start off in the state of Illinois. You can read this article over at legalsportsreport.com, by the way. A $56 million budget, new taxes, fantasy sports, and prediction markets. So am I led to believe here that prediction markets have to pay taxes now? Pat, is that what we're saying here? Or is this just something that they decided and prediction markets are going to say, no, not so fast?
That's what, JB Pritzker's hoping. This is a whole kind of pie in the sky hope for Illinois, which, coming into this legislative session, I heard from a lot of sources saying, hey, we've got federal funding drying up for states. So they're going to try to come back and look for new ways to raise revenue. Of course, one of the easiest ways to do that is look at gambling. And Illinois has done that the past 2 years, raising sports betting taxes in various forms, first creating a tiered tax system and then implementing their strange per bet fee for sportsbook operators. And so this year, I think they came back and they were like, all right, let's leave sports betting alone. We don't want to do that. What is out there that we can figure out in tax? And while prediction markets is the obvious one, and we know all about how state regulators and lawmakers are looking at these, for lack of a better term, unlicensed sports books is how they're viewing them and saying, hey, we got to rein you in. We got to either figure out how to license you. You can't be offering what sports books are paying a lot of money to the state for free for us. And so in Illinois, that's one way they're going to look at it, is creating a tax system. And it is, they're hoping that the prediction markets will pay. It would generate quite a bit of revenue for them. But ultimately, for right now, it's just kind of a budget list item to make the ends meet. Because to your point, so far, prediction markets are just saying no to state regulators and state legislators, saying, we don't have to comply to your laws. We're federally regulated through the CFTC, so we can offer whatever they say we can offer anywhere in the country. And you can't do anything about it. So why would a state tax law or change that? So I think what's going to happen is they'll probably sue Illinois and say, hey, we don't want to pay these taxes, so we're not going to, and you can't do anything about it. And so this is just going to add to the long list of lawsuits that prediction markets and the CFTC are fighting with states. And ultimately, nothing will matter until the Supreme Court rules on what can happen. So, we've seen a couple other, Minnesota filed a regulatory law for prediction markets, and we saw the prediction markets go, nope, we're not going to follow that for now.
Right.
And so we're just going to kind of go in circles, I think, for a while still with this industry. But also of note, they weirdly finally have decided on a tax rate for daily fantasy sports. And so now there's going to be regulatory language in Illinois for fantasy sports, which there was not really before.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that. By the way, I'm not going to hold you to this prediction because it's not fair. But but Pat, do you think that the Supreme Court, before we get to our next topic, do you think the Supreme Court, they will hear about prediction markets? That's a foregone conclusion. Is that a this year thing? Is it a next year thing? Is it a year after that thing? Like, I mean, I hate to put a number on it, but I can't imagine I can imagine closing out this year without it, but I can't imagine closing all of 2027 also without the Supreme Court hearing about this.
I think there's been enough momentum. I mean, you're hearing more and more federal lawmakers calling for action about this. We've had several congressional hearings that have revolved around prediction markets and plenty of bills introduced to say, hey, let's rein this in a little bit on the federal level. So I think that combined with the just amassing lawsuits at the state level that are now going through courts of appeals and the like, I think the Supreme Court will look at it probably, I think to your point, next year and say, okay, let's get this and figure it out. And of course, how they rule, we have no idea, because so far the courts are pretty kind of go back and forth and are kind of split on the issue, which I think sets it up perfectly for a Supreme Court ruling. And yeah, anybody's guess on what they would actually end up ruling when the time comes.
Yeah, me too. All right. Still very murky. Let's get to Pennsylvania. Some safeguards on deposits going into sports betting. We know that I think the state, was it Colorado last week, said no more credit card deposits, I think also. So this is just a groundswell coming across the board. They're not going to stop sports betting entirely. They're just going to have to make you prove you have the money to bet, right? It sounds what it is.
Yeah, and this is kind of, again, to your point, the groundswell of state lawmakers saying, hey, we legalized this. Maybe we didn't put enough protections to make sure our residents are safe and responsibly gambling, and the ones that are at risk are fully protected in the ways they should. So yeah, there was a couple pairs of bills being introduced, actually pretty tightly copied off of that Colorado package that went through. And then kind of the main one is the restrictions on daily deposits. So you can't do more than, I think it's 5 in a day. There's also ad restrictions, and you cannot target people who have voluntarily self-excluded themselves from the sports books, which kind of makes sense. And I don't know that a lot of sports books are probably doing that, but just in case, you might as well codify it. And then like you said, in Colorado, they have also banned the use of credit card deposits. So it is just kind of another state in that long list of states we're starting to see lawmakers come back and say, okay, are we doing enough for consumer protection? Are we making sure our vulnerable populations that could have problem gambling are fully protected? We're not putting them at any more risk. You know, the lead sponsor on it said, this is something we did. We're in Pennsylvania. Everybody here can access an online sports book, slot machines, whatever they want from the couch. Let's make sure it's not just a free-for-all. And that's kind of what they're going to do. So we're going to see how this progresses. But to your point, Colorado passed it. You know, Connecticut passed a few safeguards, including some advertising on college, prohibiting advertising on college campuses. So just another one of those states that lawmakers just want to make sure they're doing everything right while they're bringing in that state revenue that they passed, sports betting online casino laws for.
Okay, we'll get to North Carolina now here. They have a low tax rate on sports betting as compared to some of the bigger states, New York, Illinois, etc. I see 18% is their betting tax rate. What do they want to raise it to, Pat? Is it significant?
It's not terribly significant. I think to your point, it's a very middling tax rate. It's not, some of the lower ones like 10% or the like. But this is something we've seen in North Carolina before. Last year, the Senate came out and said, let's double it from 18% to 36%. They passed it. The House passed their budget with the 18%, and they didn't compromise on the 2-year bill. So both chambers have had to come back and figure this out. And like I said at the beginning of the segment, states came into this session really trying to figure out how to make sure they can make up the deficit that they're going to have from the missing federal dollars. And here we are in North Carolina saying, let's do this. And both chambers apparently, reportedly, according to WRAL and North Carolina, have come to an agreement. The discussions had been between 20 and 30%. And so far, the reporting is suggesting on the lower end of that. So probably just a few percentage points here and there. But still, that can be meaningful dollars to North Carolina, where a lot of the money ends up going to youth sports, 13 UNC system schools, not University of North Carolina itself, but its sister schools. And so it does sound like it's an agreement. It does sound like it's going to get bumped up a little bit. And it's interesting because, again, as I mentioned, a lot of sources said this was going to be a topic to watch of tax raises. And so far, this is really the only one with any real legs. And I think that is kind of because lawmakers are looking at prediction markets and sweepstakes casinos and still saying, hey, these guys are, offering what they're offering, but not paying state license fees or taxes. So let's maybe take it easy on the people who are playing ball.
Let's wrap it up, Pat, with this question for you. Certainly the sports betting world is very focused right now on the NBA Finals. Do you think that the World Cup, just to ask for you, think the World Cup kind of comes in play this year as one of the most bet sporting events in years, or do you think that's much ado about nothing?
I don't know. I think it will, because I think, U.S. loves the World Cup when it's happening, and now that it's here, I think it'll get more traction. And if the U.S. has any sort of run, I think that could make a big difference.
Great point. It starts Thursday. Thanks again, Pat, for coming on. We'll talk soon.
Thanks as always, Craig.
We'll be right back.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Craig Mish back here with you, and certainly we have Kevin Walsh in the house. He's got game time decisions tonight. It's going to be a great show because the NBA Finals are on. It's Game 3. So here is the really interesting question for Kevin before we begin in all of this stuff, the odds, the money, and everything else, is that, Kevin, as somebody who is a broadcast analyst of sports betting versus a fan of the game and the Knicks, like, for us as journalists, so to speak, and broadcast analysts, so to speak, the better result tonight is San Antonio winning. I mean, it just is. Mm-hmm. I mean, the longer this goes, the better we are off. But, money's involved here, depending on how you're betting. Fandom is involved, depending on how you're betting. You're at a crossroads here a little bit, which is rare. Like, this doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, just for the record, and not that I minded, but I am not a Knicks fan. I am from New York. But I completely agree that unless you are a Knicks fan or have Knicks bets, the Spurs winning is better, right? The Spurs winning,
I think it is.
The next two is probably better, honestly, or at least splitting, right? Certainly tonight, it would just create more drama of the whole thing. And I quite like this spot for San Antonio. The worry, though, is the Knicks have kind of made sports betting easy if you just believe them. Because, Craig, since the winning streak started, it's 13 straight wins. It's 12-1 against the spread.
Right.
They're not laying 14, 15 in these games. So if you've been rolling, heck, throw the Hawks games in the mix, right? You're sitting at 13-3. I think that would give us against the spread in this postseason for New York. I think the Spurs had to be a plus price in this game, and they are. They simply could not offer people plus on the Knicks at home, and that's what we have ourselves here. It's very interesting. I wonder where Mitch Johnson and this San Antonio team is doing the most self-reflection. The offensive side, the defensive side, is it an individual player, substitution patterns? I wonder what their big issue is right now and trailing this series 2-0.
In watching sports as long as you have and intense as you have, as I have, it's a rare situation in a sporting event to be able to ask if the Spurs are now demoralized and will get crushed in a situation that is about as impossible as any in terms of a home court, or if they feed off that. We have not seen a team play for a championship up 2-0 coming back home like this in New York in a really, really long time. Like this is unprecedented, sort of. But you have to kind of make a prediction on that, I think, in general, because I think that is really going to tell the story. Because if the Spurs crumble in this game, there isn't a soul in the world, Kevin, that's going to pick them to win game 4. That's going to be it.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a big number, right? If the Knicks win by 10, it's going to be 5. It really might be. They boost up those sweep opportunities, Craig, no doubt about it. Look, the Spurs won a game 7 against the defending champions, right? To make the final. So the issue for San Antonio right now is their early leads are still happening, just like they did against OKC. They keep getting up 10, and it doesn't matter. The Knicks just keep coming. The Knicks have a good enough flow to put together offensive bursts and defensive excellent stretches that really put the Spurs' backs up against the wall. And this was something that I talked as somebody who picked the Knicks to win this series. The Spurs, and I think you can see it in their demeanor, Craig. For them, the finals were the Western Conference Finals, which is something that people said, by the way, going into the Western Conference Finals. The problem is it wasn't the finals, right? So when Wemby, after game 1, is like, I don't even have to be good. I just got to play my normal game. It's like, well, Vic, maybe if you played to your level in game 1, you would have won. But that's
right.
That was just that game. Every game is different. And I mean, I think the Spurs now are probably aware of what's in front of them. But every piece of NBA history says, Craig, they are aware way too late in the game. Let's be very real. It'd be nice if the Spurs won this game for a longer series. Every piece of NBA data tells us this is the same as if they were down 3-0, right? You mentioned it. To lose the first 2 games on their home floor, no one's come back and won the series. Nobody. There's no reason to believe this Spurs team is going to be the team to do that.
So let's get to some props. Tell me if you like anything here. I'm going to just roll through them real quick because I think we're short on time. So these are the Brunson props: 26.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2.5 threes. And that's big plus money on that. And then 35.5 points, rebounds, assists. Did you land anywhere on these?
So Brunson has yet to have an efficient scoring game in this series. He did have the 30-point performance, Craig, in game number 1. I think he will have an efficient game. I am not positive it is this game, to where it's almost a roll of the dice. If Brunson struggles tonight, I have a lot of confidence in him game 4. Showing up over numbers, Craig. So he's someone I'm not fading, but I'm not backing in this game.
Are you sold on Brunson winning the MVP if the Knicks win this series? He's +1. Yeah, I mean, Anthony Towns is at the biggest jump for MVP I've seen in the NBA in a long. I mean, it kind of reminds me, who was it? Was it Boston's MVP? Was it Jaylen Brown that rose up like
Craig.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And Craig, I'm going to keep telling. I'm going to tell this to as many different audiences as I can. The betting markets are very helpful, except for I find in these award markets. You brought up Boston. The game 5 against Dallas, 4 minutes to go. It's a 20-point game. The series is over, Craig. They put the finals MVP odds up. Jason Tatum was -1,000 to win the award. They gave it to Jaylen Brown. Cat should be a much bigger favorite to win finals MVP.
Agreed. Thanks, Kevin. See you tonight.
terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. So there's some mixed messaging going on right now, I would say, with these seats for the Knicks tickets at Madison Square Garden. So full transparency, I was on the show last week, and I said that these tickets were going to come way down in price. So first, let's start here. So Darren Rovell puts out a message yesterday and says that somebody bid $550,000 for 2 seats because it's tax deductible, it's part of a charity. The declared value of the seats was $39,000, but they paid $550,000. And, it was some law firms involved to sit courtside at the NBA Finals game. And everyone said, oh, my gosh, like, wow, this is crazy. And then, I'm not going to show you the tweet that came out like an hour ago. But this is what my point was I thought these tickets that by the time the day of the game came out would be a lot less. And they are. They're crashing down. So I was shocked that anybody that the buy-in price, because you see this happen all the time for championships. Oh, you can't pay. It's $10,000, $20,000. He just put out a tweet less than an hour ago saying that they're under $4,000. It's still a ton of money. Okay. But I'm here to tell you, I think people are going to get in this game for $1,000 or $2,000 if you really want to. I'm just telling you, this is what always happens. It gets way overhyped. Just look at the World Cup, how much that was, and now they can't even sell the tickets. Very overrated. I think they just do it to get people to buy tickets right away. All right, we'll wrap up the show with another moment here from the NBA and a whole lot more. It's time to wrap it up with some last licks. All right, I don't know if you noticed this, but Taylor Swift attended Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and because she attended, they decided to sell off the seat that she sat in. How about that? Her chair is available via auction. It was at $2,100. You could buy a seat that Taylor Swift sat in, and it's up to about $6,000. It doesn't surprise me. There's so many Taylor Swift fans out there. It's not necessarily about the game. It's about the seat that she sat in. I would say it's a little off for me, not something that I would buy personally, because maybe if she sat or signed it, maybe it would be, worth $6,000. I'm not paying that. Again, Taylor Swift went to Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You could buy the chair right now via auction, and it's up to $6,000. I don't think $100 maybe I would buy it, or $200, give it to my daughter. She would think it's cool, maybe get a certificate, but thousands, no chance. Okay, Randy Arozarena, very funny guy, by the way, has always been a funny guy through the years. He plays for the Seattle Mariners, and apparently in Detroit on Sunday, there were some fans that were heckling him to no end in the outfield, just yelling at him constantly. This happens at virtually every sporting event, but more so at baseball games. Arozarena then took out a baseball and wrote this on it: "I don't speak English. Yell what you want. I don't understand you. I don't care. I love you." And then he threw it up into the stands. Arozarena happens to be, I know a lot of people don't know who he is, maybe, don't know a lot. He is a fun guy. He is a fun guy for the game. He is good for the game. And really funny that he would do this with the fans as well. All right, we wrap it up with Golden Tempo. Who is Golden Tempo? Golden Tempo is a horse. Came all the way back from last place to win the Belmont Stakes Saturday at Saratoga at 6-1 odds. So Sherry DeVoe wins again. She's the first female trainer in horse racing to win 2 legs of the Triple Crown with victories at the Kentucky Derby and Belmont Stakes. Why didn't Golden Tempo run in the Preakness? I mean, this is only making matters worse. But great for them. Is this great for horse racing? That, like, the horse was the best horse in the Triple Crown Challenge and just, like, bowed out of the Preakness and then won the Belmont a few weeks later? That is incredible. Congratulations to Sherry DeVoe. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. It's just a very bizarre horse racing season, which honestly, I'm fine that it came to an end. All right, that'll do it for our show today. Thanks to our great guests here on the program. That would include Gilbert McGregor from Phoenix Sports. Also, thanks to Kevin Walsh for coming on talking some NBA. He'll be live tonight for Game Time Decisions. For in-game live tonight, not Game Time Decisions, in-game live. And then Pat Evans will be with us, as always, talking some prediction markets and sports betting from Legal Sports Report. Thanks for Pat for sitting in today and doing a great job on the directing front. Also, thanks to Frank on the graphics, and thanks to Chris for producing the show. I'm Craig Mish. Be back here tomorrow for our next edition of NewsWire. Will we have the Knicks up 3-0, or will the Spurs jump back into the series? We'll also have a preview of the next game in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals as well. So, Tuesday edition of NewsWire, right around the corner. We'll see you then. Have a great Monday, everyone.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, well, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.